You know what? It's weird to say this, but I feel like this could be I don't want to say like a pick me up game, but like maybe this game against the Broncos this week is like a turnaround game. You know, you kind of like you turn yourself around, you pick yourself up, you dust yourself off, dust your shoulders off, and and you make this run that you want to make. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. The Ravens have been weird this season, right? The Ravens have showed weird tendencies. The Ravens have shown kind of tendencies we've seen before. But on the bright side, the Ravens have also felt like they've been playing themselves, right? Felt like that it hasn't been their opponent that's been better than them. It's been them outplaying, outthinking, like I wouldn't say them out coaching themselves, but just doing a little too much. So if they can, in the words of Aaron Rodgers, relax a little bit and do the simple things, I think Ravens flock, we gonna fly. What a week, what a week, what a week it was, right? So after the Ravens' monumental loss to the Jaguars, and it's weird, right? Like it's weird to even say that. It's weird that it happened. It felt like the Ravens should have went in, taken care of business, been done with it. They were up by 19. They gave up 18 points in the fourth. It should have been just like, should have been kind of light work a little bit. But the Jaguars, they came out to play, right? I don't know what they're playing for at this point, but they came out to play. Okay, they're gonna be competitive. It looks like, and they've been that throughout the season. But also at the same time, it's like the Ravens just keep beating themselves. It's the same thing over and over again. But also coming into the Broncos game at 7-4, is this just being a fan right now? Like, is this what it's like? Right? Like is this being a fan in the social media era where I have to feel like every loss is a panic button, hit the panic button, sound the alarms, wave the flag? Like, is this what it's like in the social media era? Because I felt this way a couple times, like being a Ravens fan, right? Like after a loss, I've been like just frustrated, like the season's over, and of course this is hyperbole, but just the frustration of it. The season's over, like cancel the season, lose out for the. This is things I've heard throughout the entire week, like cancel the season. Let's just go get a top pick. Let Lamar walk. The season's done. And even though you're 7-4 and in first in the AFC North, but it's weird because games like that happen, right? Games where it's like either you should have won and you just didn't show up to play that day and it don't look too good, or games where it's supposed to be a close game. Like for example, look at those Chiefs games. Those Chiefs games felt like pivotal losses, right? In the Ravens seasons over the past couple of seasons, but they were one loss in the grand scheme of things. The Ravens still made the playoffs, right? One of those seasons they ended up winning in the playoffs. But like, it's weird to see like the overreaction aspect of it, right? And I'm as crucial into this as anybody else. Like I feel the same way. Like I've been thinking this whole week, can the Ravens make the Super Bowl with the way this roster is constructed? And you look at it, there's weaknesses. I mean, every roster has weaknesses, except for a certain few. Sometimes it feels like, right? But every roster has weaknesses. So I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, man, can the Ravens even make this run? Like, the interesting part about the Ravens, right? In 2012, 2011, basically 2008 and up until, the Ravens weren't Super Bowl contenders, right? So I think a lot of our expectations were down, and then when they surpassed those expectations, we were like, whoa, right? Like I said, 2000 is another year where I don't know if the Ravens were necessarily Super Bowl contenders 4 years into their tenure within the NFL, but when you do finally win the Super Bowl and you're not really the one that people are really looking at, I think it's different. I think because the Ravens are now like this Super Bowl contender, which is ironic because they've had a good defense, they've had a good run game, and it's odd that when Lamar Jackson comes on the scene, they become Super Bowl contenders and a top, at least an efficient, let's say an efficient passing offense, which technically would make you a top passing offense. And the run game just gets better because he's there, and it's interesting, right? That no name has been signed. No real an offer that is not good enough for Lamar has been signed, but nonetheless, not the topic of the video. But it's just interesting to me. I just got to thinking about it, like, are we overreacting, right? Are we as fans, and I'm sure everybody does this. I'm sure, like, with each win and each loss, with social media and people coming out on this side and people coming out on that side, we always have something to hear about, something to say back to someone. And it's very interesting because coming into this Broncos game, there's a lot of people that I feel like 99% of the okay. So ever since we've seen what the Broncos are, there's been a lot of people that felt like this should be a pretty simple game. You come in, run your offense. They got a pretty good defense. But you come in, run your offense, make the plays that you need to make on defense, and go out and win this game. And it probably shouldn't even be too difficult of a task in terms of, like, it shouldn't be a close game, right? This shouldn't be a close game. But at the same time, now that you got this loss to the Jags, now people are like, oh, I don't know, maybe they'll lose this game. And then, it's just weird, right? It's weird that I think nowadays one loss means the world to everyone, right? One loss means we should take Patrick Mahomes out of the top 5 quarterback discussion. One loss means that the Ravens aren't contenders anymore. One loss means that the Eagles are frauds. One loss means that the Vikings are exactly who we thought they were, I guess, right? So one loss means that the Cowboys are an accident waiting to happen as usual. It's just very interesting, right? And then coming into this Broncos game, where once again it's the same blueprint: play a clean game, and like I hate to say the same thing every week, but those are the struggles that the Ravens are having: playing a clean game, finishing on defense, and scoring touchdowns. Those are the big issues that the Ravens are having right now. So how do you fix those things, right? Once again, it's back to that question again: how do you fix those things? And I think once again, personnel is going to be big in this. Having Gus back a second game in a row is going to be big, because if you want to lean on a dominant run game, you can't have a dominant run game if you ain't got the personnel to have a dominant run game. Yes, Lamar makes every running back that he plays with better, but at the same time, I mean, we even saw it last year. It was a struggle for a guy like Latavius Murray, right? It was a struggle at times for a guy like Devontae Freeman. It was a struggle at times for a guy like Le'Veon Bell, even though they could take some of Lamar's touchdowns down in the red zone, but whatever, right? It was a struggle, though, right? It was a struggle. So to have Gus back and then JK back practicing too, honestly, I don't know if I expect to see him till like week 15 or 16, to be honest with you. But to have JK back and have Gus back, that's going to change the offense. It just is. It just is. And it's tough because, yes, Greg Roman can make adjustments and he's failed to, but at least let's see what he has when he actually has his top 2 running backs out on the field, and let's see what happens. Defensively, you got to finish the game. Like, the thing about it is, and we talked about it before, the defense is going to get the blame for any more losses that happen this season. Hopefully there's no more, right? But any more losses that happen this season, the defense is going to get the blame, because all the money, all the chips are pushed over to the defensive side of the ball. So the defense has to be great. They have no excuses. When it comes to the offensive side of the ball, the offense has to be clean. And like, I think kind of the word I brought up before was a good word to describe it. They got to be efficient, right? It's not going to be about yards. especially in the passing game, because let's be honest, you can't run the ball as much as the Ravens run the ball and then somehow put up ridiculous passing numbers. It's really hard to do. So, the Broncos are prone to mistakes, right? They just are. They're Russell Wilson this season, like, it's weird. I don't really even truly understand it. I don't know if it's the scheme change. I don't know if it's being in a different area. I don't know if it's some sort of external stresses. I don't know, but Russell Wilson has not looked good. He's been prone to turn the football over, and I'm not even sure about their running game right now either. So, it's almost you're forcing, which is weird to even say, but you're forcing Russell Wilson to make a play against you, which has been his bread and butter for most of his career, but this season just hasn't been. It's been bad. So very interesting to see how the Ravens come out. I want them to come out fast and start fast, but also, like, I would love to see some new wrinkles. I want them to get back to what they were doing before, right? Get the play in, give Lamar 15 seconds to scan the field, point out the mic, say, hey, he's probably blitzing right here, kill to a run, right? Switch to an RPO, as opposed to getting him the snap and then saying, well, Lamar, do magic. You got it, brother. Right. Like that's the offense right now. The offense is Lamar, do magic. And it was funny. I was listening to I think it was the Baltimore Breakdown. I was listening to them and they were saying, it's interesting how much scheme and lack of receiver talent is talked about when you have Lamar Jackson, for the simple fact is Lamar is just that special. And that's true, right? Lamar makes everybody around him better. And considering receiver talent probably isn't getting better, not in terms of the personnel. They may get better the harder they work, or the more chemistry they obtain with each other. But in terms of like personnel, the wide receiving core is not getting any better. So because the wide receiving core isn't getting any better, then that goes back to more so Greg Roman than anything. This is Greg Roman's time to earn his money, and not necessarily from the Ravens, but probably from Stanford, right? Stanford is probably where he'll be next year, and this is his time to make his money. Like, imagine riding off into the sunset of your Baltimore Ravens tenure with a bunch of criticism laid here and a bunch of criticism laid there, but you got the chip in your back pocket, right? You got the ring on your finger now. You got there before with San Francisco. This is Greg Roman's, this is his moment right here, right? Like, I talked about prove it deals for receivers and guys like that, but this is Greg Roman's time right here to be like, yeah, I can be a head coach. And I got, the hardware to show that I can elevate the guys that I coach. And that's exactly what you would want him to do at the college level too. So this is a get right game, right, for the Ravens. It's gonna be tough. We talked about it before. Any given Sunday, like, it's weird because teams that are supposedly bad are beating good teams, and that happens. You don't always show up at your best every single week. You don't always show up at your healthiest every single week. So coming into this game, clean football is going to be the first thing, right? Play clean, but also, like, show that you have, like, that killer instinct. Show that when it's time, listen to Lamar Jackson Wired, he's like, we got to score. Like, we got to score. Like, let's go. Like, we got to get into the doggone end zone right now. Like, hearing that kind of sense of urgency that he has, you hope that it's infectious to everybody else, but also, like, you got to have that kind of foot on the neck mentality, that kind of, we up in the fourth quarter, let's get one more scoring in this thing, right? Like, it don't matter if they do rally back. Let's continue to show them that, you can't outscore us, because this offense is a very similar offense. Like, it's constructed very similar to 2019, and those couple of years where the Ravens had the record for most 30-point scoring outings for an offense. So, or I think it was 14 in general, but still, like, like that's still a big deal. 30 points, no matter how you get it, is still nice to have. So I think that potential is there. They're getting to the red zone. They're moving the ball. It's just when they get to the red zone, weird things start to happen. But I think if I'm not mistaken, I think they can correct it because some of it is self-inflicted, and some of it is lack of execution. Dropped balls. Like we talked about it last week. There was like 3 drop touchdowns and 7 dropped balls by the wide receivers. They got to be better. They got to be the guys who are being paid thousands or millions of dollars to play that position. Um, you know, that's just how it's got to be. That's just how it's got to be. And this should be a get right game. I think this should be a get right game. And we'll definitely see how it goes against the Broncos because you never know. The Broncos might flip that switch this week and get out of their own heads or something, and we might be in for a tough one. But I expect a tough one regardless, just because of how the seasons went and just because of how this league is. It should be fun. But as I sign off, you can always listen to or watch Flock Nation Speaks on a variety of different platforms. What is it? It's Facebook, YouTube, is the ones you can watch us on at least. And then Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor. I think I'm on Google Podcasts. I keep forgetting if I'm on Google Podcasts, but I think so. Google Podcasts. Be sure to be there. Check us out. We'll see you guys on the next one. Definitely hope you guys enjoyed. Until